me and all the great things I had done, that I could convince the general that he should hire me in Malaysia. But really what his biggest need was and where the gap might be for him. So fortunately for me, I took a good guess and I nailed it. And at the end of the presentation, George Heller, who was the CEO of the Commonwealth Games, he said, "Okay, General, all these people are available to you. If you'd like to meet one-on-one, they'd be happy to." And the General looked up and he said, "I only need to meet with Linda." Anyway, I ended up going to Malaysia with my husband for 4 years. We were based in Kuala Lumpur, and I ran the sport marketing. I went to work for a British company, and I did the international marketing and sponsorship and broadcast rights for the Commonwealth Games in Kuala Lumpur for '98. And we started working for all the Olympic committees throughout Southeast Asia. We bought a company in Hong Kong, which I managed, and it was a fabulous experience. I mean, anybody who's got an opportunity to live and work anywhere else in the world, but in particular Asia, I think is a great opportunity. So 4 years in Malaysia, we could have stayed away probably forever. You know, it was easy to kind of keep hopping around. And some of my friends and colleagues in the room are former Bannock people, and you know that it's easy to become a games gypsy, as they call them, and keep moving. The next games were in Manchester, England. Didn't quite make the list. I decided going to Manchester was probably not in the cards. Came back to Vancouver, and Vancouver had just won the domestic rights for the Olympic bid, and we're starting the international phase. And my good friend Terry Wright and I, whom I'd worked with since Expo, we decided we'd take a run at working on the Olympic bid. We both got hired. We were the first 2 people on that international phase, and we were literally in a little rented office down in West Georgia, kind of crawling around under the desk trying to find a place to plug in our computers. But it was a fabulous experience. 4.5 years I actually worked on the bid. I did international marketing and raised the money for the bid, and got to work with all the great people that you guys have now just seen deliver a fabulous set of games. When we won the bid in 2003, everybody thought that I would stay with Bannock. I thought I would stay with Bannock. It seemed like the obvious kind of progression of my career. But back to that thing about sort of always trying to sort of reinvent myself and figure out what might be next. At that point, I thought of 7 years of being committed to the organizing committee. It wasn't landing with me right. I needed more diversity. Back to the thing about being the major source of income. I needed to make more money. I needed to kind of figure out what it would be like. So really, probably the bravest thing I've done in my whole career was decide not to do that, to actually go to John Furlong, whom I loved and continue to love, and say, "You know what, I'm out of here." And that was really tough. For 2 years afterwards, I would wake up in the middle of the night thinking, what did I do? Right? I mean, I love those people. I love that job. Why did I do that? And I went off, and I was fortunate enough to get connected with my friend Lauren Finney at Cassette, and other folks from Cassette in the room, and started a sport marketing company, started to work for WIL Canada on their sponsorship, and they were the first sponsor of Bannock's $200 million deal. It was an incredibly exciting opportunity, and I helped negotiate that deal, and then became a vice president of WIL for a couple of years to help them sort of get that rolling. Worked with RBC Financial, worked with Petro-Canada on their deals. So I was on the opposite side of the table, so you can imagine that was a bit of a... And all the people who were on the other side of the table were my good friends who used to work for me, so it was a bit of a bizarre experience. When the major deals were done, again, I started thinking, okay, now what? London would be fabulous. Be great to go figure out a way I could live in London for a while, and somebody would pay for an apartment in Mayfair. That was my goal. Totally materialistic, totally. And I figured out how to do that. I went to British Telecom and said, "I'm thinking you guys might want to be a sponsor of London 2012. I've just had all this telecommunications experience with WIL Canada. Can I help?" BT paid me for 2.5 years, and I had an apartment in Mayfair. It was fabulous, and I loved being in London. It was like such a delight. I mean, I thought, okay, this is good. This is going up there on the list of things that make me happy. My husband was never wild about being in London. He loves Spanish culture, so an evolution was that we got a 200-year-old farmhouse in Andalusia in Spain. And I decided I could commute from Malaga to London, and I also got a contract with the Madrid 2016 Summer Olympic bid because they were bidding for the game. So I commuted from Malaga to London to Madrid. Sounds glorious. It was absolutely horrible. It nearly killed me. It totally did. It sounds like it's easy. It's only like a 2-hour flight or something from Malaga to Gatwick. Cheap flights, you have to get up at 3 a.m. to get them. So it really, that was not a good move. My husband had a wonderful time. I did not. Fortunately, we're getting kind of round back to where we were. So sitting in that farmhouse in Andalusia, I started to think, what's the next thing that's going to make me happy? What's the next thing that's going to allow me to keep contributing when the 2010 games are over? Anyway, come back and have some involvement with them. And I started thinking about business coaching and the fact that I always mentored and helped people with their business development and individuals move forward in their careers. The single thing that makes me happiest in my professional life right now is to help others be successful. And that's the most honest thing I can say to you, because I've done pretty well. I've done well financially, I've done well productively, and I've been very happy. And I continue to be married to the same wonderful man. We have a house in Pender Island, we have a house in Mexico, we have a place in South Granville. Life is good for me. I want to help other people do well. So I am now a certified executive coach from Royal Rose. I do individual business coaching, and I work with companies to help them advance their objectives. I do a lot of work in economic development, a lot of work in looking at how the city of Vancouver can fund its green initiatives, which I'm a big fan of. So that's a further evolution, but I'm totally going to get the hook here from Rita. But thank you for indulging me, and I really look forward to hearing from you and get the questions.